What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Next Guy Up podcast weekend preview episode. We are live in the studio. Mason is joining me today.
Yeah, in the flesh, baby.
Having a little technical difficulties on his end with the laptop, so he is at my house in the cool Jaguar cave.
We are live.
Getting ready to break down this weekend. We've got an awesome episode for you. We're going to kick things off with a Immaculate Grid from Zach. So we're going to see if me and Mason can get that filled out. And then we're going to do a rapid recap of last weekend's football games, NFL and college. Before we dive into the betting side of things, we'll take a look at what matchups we're looking forward to this weekend in NFL and college. And then we'll have our best bets, hop on a prop, and the Next Guy Up parlay, which is due. It's definitely due now.
It's due, baby.
Due. It's going to hit. I can feel it.
I feel pretty good about this one, too. So we got something cooking for y'all. But,
all right,
Zach, go ahead and start out with that trivia. Let's get it.
So I wanted to come up with something to test our resident NFL experts in the building. That would be Mason and Tins over there. I'm going to let them work together today. I think sometimes I like to test them against each other. Today I'm going to let them work together, see what we can accomplish. So this has kind of been a fun little like sports trend going around this Immaculate Grid. If you are not familiar, there's a 3x3 grid where on the left-hand side there are 3 NFL teams. On the top, there are 2 NFL teams plus one other kind of category. You're wanting to find things that overlap. And so there are 9 total potential options or squares that you want to fill in. We're just going to see how many we can get filled in with you two working together. Both of you are at least somewhat familiar with what we're doing here?
Yes, sir.
All right.
A little bit. I think I got
a little bit. I'll try and talk you through it.
Okay.
I wanted to pick one today that had. Well, let me just read down the sides. So just to give you an idea of what teams to be thinking about here. On the left-hand side, we have the New Orleans Saints. Okay. We have the Indianapolis Colts and the Arizona Cardinals.
All right.
Across the top, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Mm-hmm.
Thought Tins could use some expertise from that category.
Yeah.
We have Green Bay Packers, and the bonus kind of category over there is has won the NFL MVP award since 1999.
Okay.
So that shouldn't be that hard. There's only 24 years really there, 23 years. And so these are only players from this era since 1999, just because that's kind of the pool that we're picking from here. So you guys let's just start here. Do you guys want to start with MVP or do you guys want to start with some of our teams?
Let's get the teams, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, let's
do you want to start with Jaguars? Do we want to try and get some easy ones out of the gate maybe?
Yeah. So it'll be these 3 players have played on the Jags, and so it's the one box will be the Saints, right?
So the top box would be a player who has played on both the Jacksonville Jaguars and the New Orleans Saints.
Right.
In their career.
I'm going to go Mark Brunell.
Mark Brunell.
Mm-hmm.
You might hear me typing here because I'm kind of fact checking. Mark Brunell, quarterback. That is true. Wow, Tins.
He was the backup.
So these also give a percentage of how many people also pick that same kind of match, and that was 31%. So that's a pretty high percent.
Bang, bang.
Pretty common pick. Mark Brunell. Mason, would you have got that one?
No.
I knew we needed a Jaguars one here. Okay, so let's just do the next one. Let's move down.
Right.
We have Jaguars and Colts combo.
That one's tough because that's switching division teams there. I'm gonna go Gardner Minshew.
That's what I was gonna say
because that's the only one I can think of. It's recent. He's on the team now, but I really can't think of.
That works.
Hey. That works.
23% of people pick the same pick there. Gardner Minshew.
That's a tougher one for sure.
Love it.
And then
Wow,
the
that's a
last
good
one,
start. That's a hot start.
hot start.
You're 2 for 2. Third one in the column and last Jaguars is Jaguars and Cardinals.
Jaguars and Cardinals. That one's very tough. I'm gonna. Oh, you know what? Calais Campbell.
Oh, dang it! You're right. I think you are.
Oh yeah, that's the mayor of
You're
Saxonville,
right. Yep.
boys and girls.
Wait. Who is it?
Calais Campbell.
Oh, gotcha. Played from 2008 to 2023.
Yeah, he's playing on the Falcons.
15-year career.
Yeah, he's playing on the Falcons right now. He's still very good.
That works.
Well.
27% of
He
people
knows his
chose
Jags, baby.
3 for 3. If anyone ever denies Tins' fanship, it's pretty incredible stuff.
Yeah, test me
All right.
anytime.
So now we
Okay, let's save the MVP for last. I think that'll be pretty easy. What or do you want to do it now?
No, we can go ahead and do the teams because I think the MVP one might get.
that MVP's been on all of those teams.
No,
just the Saints, Colts, and Cardinals.
Well, that's what I meant. They've been on those 3 teams.
Mhm.
Okay.
No, each of them individually.
Yeah, just
MVP
those
from the
teams by
Saints,
themselves.
MVP from the Colts.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, so now we're doing the same thing, but we're mixing up with Green Bay instead of the Jags. So Green Bay and Saints. Has played for both of those teams.
Green Bay and Saints.
I'm gonna go with Ahmad Green.
Dang.
I don't know how he does this mess.
I used to play a lot of Madden and draft teams, but I don't
remember him being on the Saints. Was he on the Saints?
I don't think so.
That does not work.
Yeah, it does not work.
I'm trying to think of a wide receiver. Is it a wide receiver?
Packers are a hard team because
they
put it on unlimited mode.
No,
but Jimmy Graham.
Jimmy Graham was on the
He
Packers.
played for both for a minute.
That was my contribution.
Jimmy Graham.
Saying tight end. No?
Wait. I could be spelling something wrong. Hang on.
It's always that possibility.
So I'm trying to figure out the MVPs. We could go ahead and talk things over while he's typing.
Okay,
I got it. Let's see if that
ahead.
works. That does work.
Hey, I contributed
53% of people use Jimmy Graham. That's pretty good. All right. So now we got Green Bay and Colts. We're going to speed it up a little bit. We're going to try and get through this.
Yeah. Green Bay and Colts. I don't even know. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah. I can't think of one.
Or Green Bay and Cardinals. We can think about it and come back.
Still struggling. Okay.
See, like I said, the Packers are hard because people don't really ever leave the Packers. They keep everybody in house for so long. Dang. I want to say Jordy Nelson he went to the Raiders.
I don't know it.
What's his name? The quarterback, Matt Flynn.
Wait, wasn't he not at the Raiders too?
No, he went to Seahawks, but I think he went to the Cardinals after that. I'm gonna try Matt Flynn.
That did not work.
Damn it.
Tough break.
Tough. I suck again.
Okay, let's crank through MVPs and then we'll see if we can come back.
Yeah.
So we got an MVP from the Saints, Colts, and Cardinals.
All right. Saints.
Drew Brees.
Yeah.
That did not work.
Did not work?
Not
I spelled his last name correctly.
Tough break.
I don't even know. Wow, this makes us look like
For the Saints?
We don't know NFL.
That's crazy.
I think there's only one correct answer that's possible.
Okay. Well, can I do the Cardinals?
It's definitely not Drew Brees. Yeah, you can do Cardinals.
Kurt Warner,
yeah.
Yeah, that one's correct.
Colts is easy because it's Peyton.
Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning does work there.
I don't know the Saints.
I'm going to feel really dumb when you say it.
Unless
you say
Drew Brees wrong.
Peyton, Colts MVP could have also been, it looks like, Matt Ryan, Marshall Faulk.
Matt Ryan.
Who's on here?
That's not right.
Okay, maybe that's not right. Interesting. Okay. Saints MVP?
Is this Super Bowl MVP or
It's
MVP of the league?
It just says MVP.
And it wasn't Drew Brees?
No.
I have no idea.
So let me go ahead and correct something. Matt Ryan was MVP for 2016 on the Falcons. However, he has been on the Colts. So is it when you're MVP?
It doesn't matter.
On
You're
the team?
MVP at any time. That also played for the.
Shoot. Who's been
That's
on
a
the Saints?
hint, actually, because the player that this is.
I was thinking
Adrian Peterson.
It is Adrian Peterson.
Peterson. Good job.
Okay.
I was thinking they had to be MVP on that team.
I did too. I didn't think about it. Okay, that makes sense.
All right.
AP.
That is correct. Okay. Anything? Anybody else?
He's on Dancing with the Stars now.
Why is it not letting me put Adrian Peterson?
Pretty sure.
I don't know. I know that's the correct answer. Okay.
All right. I think I have one. It was Green Bay players. Was Saints one of the options?
We already did the Saints. Jimmy Graham.
That's right. I was thinking of that fullback John Kuhn. I think he played for the Saints. I don't have one for the Cardinals. Are like one of those. They're like a black hole team for me. I can't think of anyone that plays for them because they're terrible.
Yeah, there's some weird ones. I'll tell you the most popular one looks like Brett Hundley.
Backup quarterback. Okay.
Green Bay and Cardinals. For Green Bay and the Colts, it looks like Matt Hasselbeck. That's a throwback. Jeff Saturday also.
I kind of forgot that he was on Green Bay.
I forgot he did go do that for a year.
Those are the two most popular picks. Yeah.
Okay.
I thought we did pretty decent.
There's some tough. Right. Yeah, pretty good, guys. Pretty good. Pretty impressive. Much better than I could have done there. So there you go.
All right, sweet.
Fun little trivia.
That was fun. I like doing those immaculate grids. I didn't know there was an NFL one, or maybe I did. I don't know. I remember we did them a couple years ago. I didn't know they were still making those. It was like that trivia, like guess that player by position.
Oh yeah.
I like doing those kind of things. All right, cool. Well, let's jump into the rapid recap of last weekend. And I think we all know where we're going to start here, and that's going to be UT's disappointing loss down in the swamp.
Zach is wearing a UT shirt right now as we speak. I'm surprised he's even wearing that after that performance.
It was.
I will not waver. I will not fall. We will rise from the ashes of this stronger than ever.
So I did call Tinsley and during the game, and all I heard was Zach just screaming constantly in the background. So if that gives like an overview of just
Oh, that's pretty accurate. We were pretty upset and aggravated. Our offense just doesn't. Our offensive line just could not block. And Florida, I don't think has like a dominant defensive line of any kind. So I don't know.
No.
Like the media wants to immediately put it all on Joe Milton. He's not the one blocking up there. I don't know. I had a lot of I wasn't as high up on this UT team coming into the year as I was last year. I thought last year's team, they performed how I expected. I had high expectations. This one, I thought we were going to see some struggles early, and we have so far. And hopefully now, after a loss, maybe they can put it together and make a run through the rest of the East, because the rest of the SEC doesn't look great anyway.
True.
And that was like a desperate Florida team. Big first night game, gave us their best punch. And
yeah. I mean, the home field advantage really was a big key, and our offensive line really depleted, especially that center position, which we know is so important. And backup center Ollie Lane really struggled to keep up with the pace of the game. And then you mix that in with the crowd noise and not being able to hear anything from the line of scrimmage, and you have a ton of pre-snap penalties that just got stacked up. And the run game really couldn't get established very early. The pass game really didn't get established very much at all either. I think if you told me that we were only going to let up 29 points, I would think that was going to be a W. But the fact that our offense just couldn't put anything together. Now, I will say second half was a different game than the first half. And I think if a couple calls go a couple different ways, that game becomes pretty interesting. One of the lasting impressions of the game for me is going to be some of the questionable officiating in the second half. But the other big takeaway was the first half defense was just atrocious and horrible. Now, some of that is we had a couple players who weren't playing, a couple players, Kamal Haddon, who played very poorly. Maybe not good stuff there. So I don't know. I do think, like Tim said, I really think that there is a pretty unique opportunity this year, which kind of just hurts all the more. It's kind of the same as the South Carolina game last year, where looking back, it's like, man, if you had just won that game, you're in the playoffs without a doubt, you know?
Yeah.
And I hope we don't look back on this game later in the season and just be like, man, if we can get that one game back, this season is totally different. We got a shot to do something special. Now, I don't know if that's going to be true. Like I said, offensive line looks really bad.
Yeah.
And that might hold us back the whole season because Joe Milton is not as mobile as Hendon Hooker. He can't do some of the stuff that Hendon can do. And then if we can't get the run game going, we're cooked no matter what. But with all that being said, I mean, Florida already had a loss. Georgia did not look very good against South Carolina.
Yeah.
SEC does. I mean, Georgia picks up a loss anywhere else on the schedule, and all of a sudden you still could have a battle for the SEC East brewing for that Georgia game, that big one at home in Neyland. So,
yep.
I mean, the season is not lost. You've got, especially the SEC East this year, it looks, I mean, other than Georgia, if they can pick up a loss anywhere, could be wide open still. So, who knows?
I think it's better to have this loss earlier in the year compared to like what you're talking about South Carolina. At the end of the year, you've already got your big win over Bama, and then you lay a goose egg. Yeah, and that ended your season right there on top of the Hendon Hooker injury. I think now with the fact that I think what we've talked about off the pod is there's still a path. As long as we can kind of not drop any more silly games to a team like Missouri or South Carolina. If we're undefeated besides this Florida game going into the Georgia game, then we can still control our own destiny to get to the SEC championship game.
That would mean us beating Bama in Bama, which
I think we're going to talk about Bama here in a little bit.
They are a mystery at this point a little bit.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's Tuscaloosa. I mean, it's Bama. That is never going to be an easy win. I think
that's true.
I would always rather bet us against this Florida team than this Bama team. But these are the cards that we now hold, and so if we want to compete, that's the one we're going to have to go get now, for sure.
Well, it was kind of a weak college slate. I think that Florida UT game was kind of the headlining game, other than Colorado versus Colorado State.
Boy,
back and forth. Colorado's a 20-point plus favorite. A lot of outside of the game trash talking. It got a little rowdy during the game.
I've never seen so many people like come out of the woodwork to just like talk about this game. People who do not care anything about college football all of a sudden are college football fans. Wild stuff.
I mean, people are up till 2 in the morning watching a double overtime game between these two teams. That
the Deion Sanders.
I saw the video of people at the Arizona State football game. Did you see this on?
Mm-mm.
There were a bunch of fans at the Arizona State game, and it was like three of them all in the section where all like had the Colorado game pulled up on their phones and were watching it instead of the game.
That's funny.
I've never seen this kind of like media attention go to a team like this. It's truly pretty wild stuff.
It's definitely interesting. All the national hype and media attention that Colorado's getting, and I don't have anything against it. I like Deion. I think he's good for college football. He's a fun character to keep up with. But I do, I'm a little worried now they lost their best player in that game to a dirty hit which we're not going to get into what should happen to that guy. Everyone else in the world already talked about it enough. But that was a late intentional hit. Travis Hunter's going to be okay, but he's going to miss 2 weeks. And so I think that's really going to hurt Colorado as far as what they can do offensively and defensively now as they start Pac-12 play against – which, I mean, the Pac-12 has been rolling as I think the best conference at this point of the whole season, which is sad because this is the last year of it.
No one would thought we would ever say. Yeah.
No, because normally the Pac-12 is like – it's just kind of funny to laugh at them because they'll drop a game early in the year where they're like playing a out of conference lower level team, get paid to come and then get up beating them, like Washington or Oregon will pay someone to come play them and then they get beat, but not this year so far.
Well, I will say that I think that Colorado team is really interesting because I think their defense is not very good. And they are 3-0, but that Colorado State team was not a good team. And they were huge favorites. And they got a big win. I mean, shout out to them for pushing through it on a big stage, you know. I'm not convinced that defense is going to be able to slow down Bo Nix and the Oregon offense at all.
No.
I think they might just boat race them. I saw an interesting it was actually Deion Sanders in an interview was talking about his son came up to him right before overtime, not Shadur, but Shiloh, who plays on the defense.
The safety.
Did you see this? Yeah. The Shiloh was like, Are you gonna kick it first, or are you gonna put us on defense first or offense first? He said, you guys haven't been able to stop anything all night. I'm giving the ball to the offense first. And that is not good. Not when you're going up against a potential like Heisman candidate quarterback in Bo Nix.
Yeah.
I think that might get out of hand a little quick.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
I don't know. So, I've been betting against Colorado the whole time, so I'm going to stop doing that. So who knows?
Who knows? All right. Well, I think we'll switch over to the NFL side now. It's very early. NFL does not have the same kind of like every game doesn't matter.
It's true.
Like not that it doesn't, but college, like one loss and we're already feeling like UT season could be over. But in the NFL, you've got some teams that are starting 0-2, and I don't know, maybe you're a little nervous about them. I think Mason's going to be talking about them earlier, but I do want to ask about his Super Bowl matchup, Chargers versus Vikings, both starting 0-2, along with the Bengals. These are three teams that made the playoffs last year, and I'm wondering, should they start panicking about where they're at?
So I might just we'll keep the podcast the same name that we have, which is the next guy up, but I might change my segments to the fade cast because at this point you just need to fade everything that I say until otherwise.
Yeah, for sure.
I felt pretty confident about it. I'm actually going to break down later because this is going to have something to do with our like breaking down some games I'm interested in. But your probability when you start out 0-2 and even 0-3 to get into the playoffs. But let's start out with the Chargers. They have not looked good. They lost against the Titans, and I'm just going to say let them cook, okay? It's going to be fine. The team that I'm worried about is the Bengals. Today is Thursday, the 21st, and Joe Burrow has an injury that has been going on over the offseason with his calf injury. He may not play this week. It may just be a lingering, and they want to play it safe because they just signed him to, at the time, the biggest contract until Patrick Mahomes' contract got reconstructed. Yeah. But his was the biggest contract. So, of course, they're going to be safe with him. They don't want a season ending or something that could affect him long term. So I'm a little more worried about, if I had to say which one I'm more worried about, it would be the Bengals over the Chargers, but I'm definitely not feeling good about my Super Bowl prediction right now.
Didn't the Bengals also start 0-2 last season?
No, they started 0-2 the year they went to the Super Bowl. I think they were 1-1. But they do start slow. There is a trend to this as well. When offenses don't play starters in the preseason at all, which the Bengals were on that list, you do tend to start out a little bit slower going into the season. But what Mason was saying, and I'm monitoring this too with his calf injury, is doctors said that he should have probably sat out the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season anyway to get to 100%. So there was not a chance of re-injuring this. Well, he didn't listen. He played. Now he's re-injured it. He might have to miss some more time because the calf is a funny thing you don't want to mess with. That's what happened with Aaron Rodgers. He had a few seasons of calf injuries, had a calf injury this year, and then you get tackled one wrong way and then you pop your Achilles. And so I think they're definitely going to be careful with Joe Burrow, but they also can't really stand ground to be losing and falling behind in the division. Already 0-2. It's a tough division with the Ravens, Steelers, Browns. They're just all solid teams that aren't going to be – there's no team in that division that's going to go 2-15. There's no cupcake of the 4. So they're kind of in a rock and a hard place is what they want to do. So I definitely agree that I'd be panicking a little bit if I was a Bengals fan saying, all right, what are we doing? Because we definitely don't want to be falling in such a hole early.
It was weird. If you go back at the end of that game, he's out there hobbling around and they still put him back in. And I was like, What are we risking for week 2 game? What are we doing here? But I'm not a head coach for an NFL team. But I'm curious to see how they handle that and curious to see how the Bengals go moving forward. So that's my take on all of that.
I will say, quick fact check. They did start out 0-2 last season as well.
They did? Is it
they
like
lost
3
to
years?
The Steelers in week 1, and they lost to the Cowboys in week 2.
Well, speaking of the Cowboys, that's interesting. I'm glad I'm wrong. Sorry, Bengals. I gave you more credit than you deserved. But the Cowboys, they have been boat racing the New York team so far this year. They've scored 70 points so far this year, and they've only given up 10 in 2 games. It's pretty good. They did have a
not bad.
Big blow to their defense today at practice. Trayvon Diggs did tear his ACL, so that's tough. It's their top corner. So that's not good. This just happened
that was a few hours there's ago. A lot of public defensive player MVPs.
Yeah,
for defensive player of the year for
Michael Parsons.
Yeah. Michael Parsons. Yeah, that's right. Not Trayvon Diggs.
But Diggs is a big part of their defense, covering the top corners or receivers. But Michael Parsons has been on a tear. He's been a one-man wrecking crew on that defense. So I don't know. I'm interested to follow this Cowboys line of, are they really contenders or did they play 2 bad teams from New York back-to-back? And then I think we'll wrap up from the weekend. And this story bled over from the weekend into the week. The Bears are just having maybe the worst PR week of their whole lives. It starts with Justin Fields blaming his bad play and being robotic on coaching.
Yep.
When he has played just terrible. If you get on Twitter, you'll see many people breaking down there's wide open receivers and Justin Fields just isn't throwing the ball. They're starting off 0-2. He has not looked the same as last year. And then they have a coach who's been house was raided by the FBI. So you got quarterback blaming the coaches for everything. You got coaches getting investigated by the FBI. I mean, it's just been a bad week to be a Chicago Bears fan.
Yeah.
And, so maybe they could distract themselves this Sunday. Let's have a good NFL, let's have a good game, have a good bounce back. Who we got on the schedule? Oh, it's Kansas City Chiefs at home. So as a 12.5 point underdog. So I don't think things are going to go really well for the Bears this weekend.
I feel like there's 2 types of people that can say a lot without saying anything at all, and that is politicians and NFL quarterbacks. There's a reason why they talk for 15 minutes, but you didn't get any information out of them at all. And when you say something like Field said, then everybody's going to take and run with it on Twitter, social media, break it down on ESPN. Stephen A. Smith's probably screaming about it as we speak right now. Not practicing throwing a baseball, by the way. Just he's out there throwing first pitches and into the dirt. Just getting off topic here. But NFL quarterbacks, they don't say a whole lot. And there's a reason why, because we're just going to take what you say and run with it.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens with the Bears. I think they'll end up – what do you think? Top pick? Cardinals still tanking?
It's gonna be a race between the two. Which sorry, Josh, about your boy Justin Fields, how terrible he is, and how he's making you look real bad, Mister. He looked like Trevor Lawrence in college, 1A, 1B.
Most MVP bets was Justin Fields, by the way, before the season started.
Wow.
If you wanted to throw your money away, you could have just gave it to me, people. Come on.
All right. Well, we are going to jump into our favorite matchups of the weekend, college and NFL. I'm going to kick us off because Mason's got some nice stats for his Chargers Vikings one, so I'm definitely looking forward to that.
I do.
Sorry, I kind of spoiled it. Anyway. My bad.
It's okay.
I'm going Ohio State versus Notre Dame.
Yeah, good one.
I think this is the best. This is the most important early season matchup of the year. I think both these teams are looking to be playoff contenders at the end of the year. Notre Dame, which I know they haven't played anybody, but their offense just looks to be humming at a different level than we've seen from Notre Dame, which probably is true because they've not really had a quarterback since Brady Quinn. And then Ohio State, they've had their ups and downs. Their defense actually looks kind of good compared to past seasons, but this is their first big test, and they play in the Big Ten. They still have Penn State and Michigan on the schedule, so Ohio State can't really afford a loss right here. But Notre Dame really needs to be undefeated, maybe one loss to be considered for the playoffs, so I definitely am looking forward to this matchup. I'm pretty high up on Notre Dame after I trashed them with Zach on our season preview. I switched.
Yeah, that was tough.
He's drinking the Hartman Kool-Aid.
I am.
That's aged very well. Speaking of Michigan, they have a big matchup this week as well. It's Rutgers. Oh. Well, let me tell you, I give a lot of hate towards the Notre Dame scheduling and the Georgia soft schedule, and Michigan's schedule is just truly one of the wildest I've ever seen. And they've played East Carolina, UNLV, Bowling Green. They have Rutgers this week. Big Nebraska next week.
Oh,
Minnesota, Indiana, Michigan State. Rivalry game, but Michigan State's not looking very good at all. Purdue, and then finally they play Penn State in week 10.
Holy.
Like, the odds of them going 9-0 at this point is, I would probably put it at like 90% for them to be 9-0, just because any decent team is going to be 9-0 against the schedule is truly wild. And I don't know how they kind of went under the radar with it.
I think Rutgers is like the best team on that schedule, which is saying a lot because Rutgers is
really bad teams.
Wow.
I don't know. I know I give hate to some of the Big Ten teams, and that's just is what it is. But at least Ohio State and Notre Dame are playing each other week 4.
Yeah.
They're not. Ohio State went out and scheduled a big game in the beginning of the year. Didn't wait till the very end to see what was going to happen. So there's that.
There's that.
Something to think about.
So I'm gonna be honest. I think I might be placing the biggest college bet of my life on Notre Dame. I took a future on Sam Hartman to win the Heisman. I think I'm gonna double down right here and go Ohio State money or Notre Dame money line. We'll see on Twitter how I'm feeling Saturday morning, if I give that out or not. But it's a lean right now. And then my NFL matchup I'm looking forward to the most. I bet you guys think I was going to say the Jaguars game. Nope, wrong. I'm leaving tonight, but we're playing the Texans, so yuck. I am most looking forward to Bucks versus Eagles. In a game with two teams that are 2-0 and you're not really hearing much about them, the Eagles they've come out. They haven't looked as sharp as they did last season this early with the offense. But I'm kind of eating some crow on the Bucks. This is a team that people had very little expectations for. People thought Baker was going to put up some duds. O-line would be an issue. Offense is looking good. Baker is looking like he did when he had the Browns in the playoffs. So I'm sweating out for some reason now an under 5.5 wins for the Bucks that I placed. So way to go me. They are here at 2. So this should be a fun Monday night primetime game. and I'm very much looking forward to between two teams that are 2-0.
So I'm going to transition from a game that Tinsley just broke down that are 2-0 to a game where they are 0-2. Tinsley already teased it.
Heck yeah.
Chargers at the Vikings game, both 0-2. Closest spread of the weekend, by the way, at -1 for the Chargers. So I kind of teased it earlier, but I'm going to break down the percentage of what it takes for the team that starts 0-2 to get into the playoffs. I could have made that wording so much easier. Words with Mason. Since 1990, only 11.5% of teams that started 0-2 make the playoffs. Adding 2 additional playoff teams in 2020 should have improved those numbers, but it hasn't. Over the past 3 seasons, 23 teams have started 0-2 and only 1. Zach just talked about it a couple minutes ago. The Bengals last season made the playoffs. For teams that start 0-3, listen to this part, only 6 teams in modern NFL history have reached the postseason.
Wow.
So this is kind of you go from already a tough task at 11.5% to being the 7th team in modern NFL history to make it to the playoffs if you lose this game. So my 2 Super Bowl teams getting to a point where it's almost impossible for them to make the playoffs.
Odds,
I wonder if you'd be better off if they tied.
That way one doesn't go to impossible. You know what? I should bet that. I wonder what it is.
Yeah, how many teams at 0-1-2 have ever made the playoffs? Jason, run those numbers.
I should, right? So I think it's going to be a good, quarterback versus quarterback, a lot of offense. They got high-powered offenses. Let's see what happens. But that's where we're at right now with my game of the weekend.
Love it. Love it, Mason.
Thank you.
Well, I'm headed back to college. This is a game that we haven't mentioned a lot today. We mentioned some of these teams. I think it's one of the most intriguing matchups because of some of the storylines going on with these teams, and that would be Ole Miss at Alabama. Line is -7 right now in Tuscaloosa, obviously, but I think if this was Ole Miss, that line would be very, very close to even. This is one of those matchups you love to see. You have Lane Kiffin and Nick Saban kind of matching up. You have used to coach on the same team. Lane Kiffin obviously coaching Nick Saban. There is no love lost there in that relationship, and there's already been some trash talk on Twitter and things like that. Alabama played 3 different quarterbacks in their last game to try and figure out some of their quarterback issues. If you were wondering if in week 3 you played 3 quarterbacks, that is not ideal. Jalen Milroe, I think, has been named the official starting quarterback and the guy from here on out, but he did not look great throwing the ball. He did not look like going from Bryce Young to anyone else is going to be a downgrade, but going to Jalen Milroe has been tough this year. And then over on the other side, over at Ole Miss, you have Jackson Dart, incredible quarterback name, first of all. Jackson Dart.
Yeah, that's
a great name. He's been playing very well now. Mostly untested Ole Miss. They beat a Tulane team that was ranked at the time, but they were. No one really knew what they were going to look like.
Backup quarterback too. Tulane.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what Ole Miss is going to look like this week. Lane Kiffin always has those high-powered offenses. I think it's widely known that the defense is the best part of Alabama's team this year, and the offense is what the struggle has been. So I think it's going to be really interesting. I will say for Ole Miss, this is a do or die for Bama this week. They already have a loss. I think another loss just about nearly is going to eliminate them from playoff contention in week 4, which is crazy. So they're playing for their season. On the other hand, Ole Miss has Bama, but the next week they have LSU. And then down the road, they also have Georgia coming up. And so they do not have an easy schedule and an easy path. And so both teams really need a win here. In best bet, we're going to talk about, or in my parlay, we'll talk a little bit about what I think is going to happen in this game. But I think it's going to be a really, really intriguing matchup to watch. I'm interested to watch it. I think it's going to be a great game.
I do have a question for you, Zach.
Yes, Mason.
Are Alabama fans going to be throwing mustard bottles or golf balls?
Yeah, they're probably.
Those are the two items, right? Did I get it wrong?
You always wonder what's going to happen with a program if that is just used to winning all the time. Like, what happens when they stop winning?
It's true.
I don't think they're going to take it very well.
I'll tell you what happened to Tennessee when they stopped winning. They fired Philip Fulmer in 2001, and then we went into perpetual darkness after that. So, for about 20 years. So we'll see what happens to Alabama. And Nick Saban is getting up there in age. I cannot imagine he wants to keep doing this for very long because why would he want to? I don't understand that. But, I mean, Bama loses here. I think there is a real question about their future and what's going to be a team like that's used to winning so much. All of a sudden, you lose a couple games in a season, go 9-3, and then the world is falling. So we will could be an interesting scene over there in Tuscaloosa.
I feel bad for him.
I know, hate it
for him.
I do. I mean, and then the other side of it is they could go 11-1 and win the national championship. Like, truly, that could happen.
It's true. You wouldn't put it past them.
Nope.
All right. Well, I think we're going to dive into the gambling side of this. So it's time. Make sure you bust out your notepads and whatever we're taking, just take the opposite. You'd be if you just took Mason's picks, you'd be up 7 units. If you just faded mine, you'd be up 5.5. So let's go, baby.
Go ahead and write them down. Fade them. This is called the Fade Cast. Get ready for it.
Except for the fact that I'm about to sweep you bunch of haters and doubters. It's coming for you. I'm about to bust out the brooms on Twitter.
Fade mine. I will not think less of you. Go ahead and do it.
So I'm gonna kick off best bet here. Seems like a game that we have been talking about a lot, and that will be the Vikings versus Chargers. I am taking the over 54. It's just a 54 right now, so I love that because I hate getting the hook. So I love having
math
a flat number there. It's minus 110. These two teams are combined since 2020, 35-11-1 to the over following a loss. So that's 76% of the time after a loss they combined to hit the over. Two high-powered offenses with two defenses that are just getting the disaster. And then they're playing in Minnesota, so weather is not an issue because we are in a dome. And so I'm going to roll with the over.
You know what that
54.
is? Thousands of fans listening. That is stats upon stats right there. He just gave out a stat after a loss. Like, he's throwing those out. What kind of research? That is, he's cooking in the lab. That's what he's doing, everybody.
Stats brought to you by actionnetwork.com.
Wow. He even quoted the source.
Yeah.
I missed that. Oh, they're sponsored, or was that just the?
Oh, they're flirting with sponsoring. They said we have to.
I missed that in the email.
Yeah, they're talking about maybe doing it as long as we don't go over this weekend. So we'll see what happens.
Challenge accepted. So, Zach, what do you see when you watch Titans games? What do you think you see? You see a lot of. Yes, you see a lot of field goals.
There's a lot of field goals. There were 5 in the first game, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, Zach. Thank you for that stat. So, you may ask, who is our kicker? Because we didn't have one for a second, and that is we traded for Nick. That's right, but we got one now, and his name's Nick Folk.
Yeah,
and basically, he is tied with Brandon Aubrey, the Cowboys kicker, for the most field goals in the first 2 weeks. So, what am I taking, you might ask? Nick Folk over 1.5 field goals at plus 105. So all he's got to do is make 2. Well, you know what he's been doing? He's been making 5 in a whole game. You know how we were talking stats upon stats?
Yep.
Tennessee is 26th in touchdown red zone scoring percentage after the first 2 games. There's 32 teams, everybody. So we're at the bottom.
Anybody have theories on that? You
Your
have
offensive line is bad, and everyone knows you're going to run it with Derrick Henry in the red zone.
So you think that everyone just knows it's going to be a run, so that's why they can stop it?
Mm-hmm.
So we are terrible in the red zone. Give me 2 field goals. Why not? Let's take them.
That's a great pick.
I love that pick. If it wasn't a Titan, I'd take it with you. But a guy has to stand on his principles,
That's true.
His morals in life, and I don't bet on Titans stuff.
Yeah, I'll give him like a crazy like anytime touchdown parlay, and it's got like 18 players in it to pay out like $23,000. And he's like, yeah, I took all of that except for Derrick Henry to score a touchdown, which is at like minus 300. That's like the best bet one out of all of them. And he's like, no, I won't take that one, but I'll take anything else. So here we are.
You got to stand for something.
It's true. But that's my best bet. Zach, give it to us. Break it down. You've already teased it a little bit.
Oh, my bet?
Yeah, best bet.
Oh, I'm going to save it for the parlay.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I meant to.
No, you're fine.
You're good. I'm going to say my best bet. I only got one on the. I'm dialing back my betting this week. I got one bet that I believe in. I saved it for next guy at parlay, so that's where I'm at.
Okay,
there we go.
All right, we're ready. Well, now it's hop on a prop, hop on a prop, hop on a prop. Okay, I'm going to start us out. I'm going to kick us off here. Tinsley, who is your tight end for fantasy football this year?
Well, I drafted Travis Kelce pretty high, but I did make a trade for one Mr. Kyle Pitts.
And how's he doing right now?
It's been a struggle, Bob.
It's a great trade.
All right, well, you might be asking, why are you picking this one then if he's not been doing good? I'll tell you why. Kyle Pitts over 33.5 yards receiving. Seems kind of low to me if you ask. I have a question. Which team in the first 2 games is allowing the most receiving yards allowed by tight ends?
I don't know. Who are the Falcons playing this weekend?
It's a great question, Tins. That would be the Detroit Lions with an average of 87.5 yards a game. In fact, last week, the tight ends Noah Fant, Colby Parkinson, and Will Dissly, all on the Seahawks, by the way, all surpassed Kyle Pitts' total of 33.5 yards. So it's 3 different tight ends for the same team surpassed 33.5 yards. A couple quick points. Kyle Pitts has the same amount of targets as Drake London with 8. They'll have to throw it more this game to keep up with the Lions' quick and high-powered offense. And Kyle Pitts' longest reception in the first 2 games was 34, which shows that he can break off big plays. Remember, 34, 33.5 is our total. That's all we need. He could get that in 1 play, maybe 2. So that is my hop on a prop. Kyle Pitts over 33.5 for my fade cast.
I like that one. I think it'll be a high-scoring game. I don't think they're going to be able to run as much as the Falcons would like because they like to do this all-run offense with that stable running backs. So I definitely like this Kyle Pitts prop. I will be taking it with you.
Thank you.
And that will jump into my hop on a prop, and that is Travis Etienne over 69.5 rush yards.
Good
now,
number.
I got stats to back up just the fact that it's a Jaguars player. The Texans rank 30th against the run this year already. So, like Mason said earlier, there's 32 teams in the NFL, everybody.
Bottom of the league.
The Jaguars offense has gone 3 and out on 45% of their drives to start the season, which is the 6th highest, which is not what you want. So I think we're going to see a heavy dose of running plays on early down and distances. So I love the fact that I think we're going to get Travis Etienne moving and grooving in this game. I think you're going to see some Tank Bigsby as well. The Texans gave up 88 yards last week to Zach Moss in his first action since training camp. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but Zach Moss is not a good running back. The Texans also in week 1 gave up 110 yards rushing to the Ravens committee after J.K. Dobbins went down after the first drive.
Who's on that team, by the way? Justice Hill and Gus Edwards.
Yeah. So I mean, you had –
I feel like Etienne's better than both.
Right. So I think Etienne's going to get his fair share. Early down offense. The Jags kind of got to get in a groove here. Offense did not look good last week against the Chiefs, so I think it's kind of a bounce back game. 1 o'clock in the Jacksonville heat. Let's just run the ball and go home type deal. So I love it. Over 70 yards, essentially. It's minus 110.
And if they run up the score a little bit, then they'll start running towards the end of the game. So, like it, love it. Put it in the books.
Put it in the books. Next thing you can put in the books is the Next Guy Up podcast, which is hitting this week, everybody. It is time to hit the Next Guy Up parlay.
Guaranteed.
It's time to get all our money back and then some with this parlay.
Yep.
Zach, let's kick off the lock of the 3 legs right here.
Well, so I teased this a little bit earlier. I am going to put a bet on this Bama Ole Miss game. I think it's the most interesting game of the week. I just like putting these on some interesting games I want to watch anyways. And so here it is. I have Bama money line. Now, after all the trash we talked about Bama, maybe you're like, that seems weird. But here's what the reality. It's in Tuscaloosa. Bama is coming off of pretty bad loss to Texas, and then they looked terrible last week against South Florida as they put a bunch of different quarterbacks in. The media is writing them off as Bama is washed. And if I know anything about the devastation that has been my relationship with Alabama football for the last 10 to 15 years, I know it's that betting against Nick Saban in the Alabama team is just almost never a good idea. And so I think it's going to be a close game, honestly. I think betting on Ole Miss to cover that 7-point spread would also be pretty safe. But I am going with Bama money line in Tuscaloosa with their season on the line. This is it. I mean, they lose, it's done. Dunzo. Call it. I think they got a reality check last week against South Florida whenever they really just looked horrible. Ole Miss, I still don't really believe in Ole Miss. They haven't seen anything that makes me just really believe in them and Lane Kiffin offense. And so I think Bama wins a must-win for them right now.
There's a saying, you don't get rich betting against Bama, so you're not really going to catch me doing it either. All right, Mason, what is your leg for the parlay today?
So Zach was talking about betting games that you want to watch. I'm going to go the opposite direction and pick a leg on a game that you don't want to watch, and that is the Patriots at the Jets. The total turnovers is over 2.5 at minus 145. A little juiced, but we got some good legs to get this back, get this big plus money. The Jets have the third most turnovers in the league with 5 turnovers. 4 of those being interceptions by not Aaron Rodgers, but Zach Wilson, which is the most by a QB in the first 2 weeks. Yikes. The Patriots only have 1 less turnover than the Jets with 4 total in the first two games. And I consider these defenses to still be above average defenses in the league. This is going to be an ugly one. Give me over 2.5 turnovers. I could see it being Zach Wilson 2 picks, Patriots 1 fumble, or Patriots 1 pick, and you cash it. So Jets, Patriots, over 2.5 turnovers, minus 145.
Another fun fact, double check me though, but I'm pretty sure turnovers on downs count as far as turnovers go, team turnovers. So you have someone go for it on 4th down and don't get it, that would count as a turnover as well. Double check your sports books and make sure that they would count that, but I'm pretty sure it does.
I'm looking right now.
Yeah, Mason will look right now while I dive into my leg of the parlay. This is a minus 110. It actually moved after I took it, so that's annoying. But I'm taking Amari Cooper over 57.5 receiving yards this weekend against the Tennessee Titans. The Browns had an unfortunate, they lost the biggest piece of their offense and Nick Chubb on the Monday night game. Very unfortunate to see. Very good player, fun to watch. I think, though, they're going to start leaning more towards the passing game. Deshaun Watson, after it happened, ended up with 40 attempts against a very good Steelers team. The Steelers defense is probably on the same level as the Titans. I have a lot of respect for the Titans defense, and the thing about it is you're not going to come into the Titans stadium and try to run the ball consistently with a backup running back unless you just want to lose outright. So I think they're going to try and air it out. Like I said, Deshaun Watson had 40 pass attempts last week, and that is probably the weaker side of the Titans defense is their secondary. Amari Cooper, even though he was dealing with somewhat of like a groin injury, popped up at the end of practice last week. Still finished with 7 catches for 90 yards against the Steelers. I look for him to have a pretty good game against the Titans in what should be a close, kind of probably a gross game in general. But I like him to have over 57 yards receiving. So you cook up those 3 legs together, and we're looking at plus 351. So you take this, you're going to be up. Even if you've taken all of our other 2 parlays, you'd still be up a unit and a half. So let's get it.
This is where we come back.
This is where
our time.
We make back everything they took from us.
That's it.
So I'll have to check. We'll have to dive deeper into this. Maybe we could put this on like social media on Twitter or something. But on Wikipedia, it was not an interception. A fumble is considered a turnover. But now I'm on DraftKings right now because it had question and answers, and I do not see it on here.
Okay.
So I will have to get back with y'all. Turnover or turnover on downs or safety, a turnover is classified as the defense gaining possession of the ball. The following will be all deemed as turnover for settlement purposes. Interception or fumble, defensive touchdown, turnover on downs. Okay, so it is considered a good call, Tens. I like it even more.
What about a safety?
Yeah,
it said safety.
Because it's anytime you're changing possession.
Okay.
So 2.5, I mean, you're not even having to count on interceptions, fumbles, muff punts.
Both of those quarterbacks could easily get a safety as well. I mean, I would even like that turnover on downs. Easy money. I love it.
I love it.
Good call, Tens.
What can I say? I'm a pro gambler. No one's ever said that.
They're going to say it after they cash this bet, baby.
Yeah, this is hitting for sure. Guaranteed.
Well, good episode, guys. I'll go ahead and close this up here. We appreciate you all listening to us. Once again, I know we've said it and sounded very repetitive, but check us out on all social media platforms. Comment, like, subscribe on our episodes. Please let your friends and family know about the Next Guy Up podcast. We really appreciate you guys listening today or whatever time you're listening to this. And that is it for the episode.